Hi everyone, I'm here with our editor Dr. Prasad and Dr. Amani Ibrahim talk about AI governance, what it really means, why it's such a pressing issue today, and I guess how it's shaping the way organizations use AI. So, hi and welcome.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
So maybe let's start with AI governance is getting a lot of attention lately. How would you define AI governance? I guess what does it really mean when we talk about it in practice in real world? Why is such a pressing issue today?
And would you like to start?
I was thinking you can start. But I guess, one should start with definition of what is governance. Yeah. It's bringing oversight, bringing clarity of things, and bringing risk-based understanding of anything that we do in an organization, let's say. And at a very high level, that is. And then if you put AI to it, AI, it's just a term that is coming in everywhere in every different forms, in every part of what a company or organization does, and thus impacting all aspects of businesses, or if not businesses, things that are being run by any organization, and there's requiring governance. Yeah, and at a very high level, let's define that's to me that's what is what AI governance is, and that's the importance of it. uh, Amani, I think you have your own opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, so simple for me. I like to use simple language. So AI governance. Let's talk fast about AI. So we use AI now every day. Everyone uses AI, even simple people who are not in IT. We use AI to take decisions we weren't able to take before. So it's a fact in our life. And when we say governance, we just want to make sure that everything is going well. There is no harm, there is no bias, everything's fair. So that's what I call it AI governance.
So should we talk about some like global key initiatives like the EU AI Act or maybe some examples of how governance is actually being applied in organizations?
We can do that. Amani, I pass this one to you first, and then take it from there.
I hate you. So having some global governance initiatives, that's a common standard in all domains when it comes to software development, IT, cybersecurity, and recently AI. I can see it's a must and necessity when it comes to AI because the risk is much bigger than we all thought about. AI is growing much faster than any other technologies. So we see some like the OECD, I call it OCD, not OECD, the United Nations AI principle. It defines some principles to enable trustworthy AI use, but it's not a legalization. It's not something that people can actually put in place. It's a recommended framework. But if we look at other frameworks like the NIST framework, it gives you practical steps actually to take to implement secure AI, especially when it comes to implementing, buying, and using AI. But if we look at the EU AI Act, which is something I really like, they are doing governance in a different way. So, for example, social scoring is forbidden. Why? Because this is a very high risk AI area and could impact social people and citizens. Areas with high risk, like credit scoring, for example, again, this needs to be highly monitored because, yes, we trust AI when it comes to credit scoring, giving me a loan or not, but AI could be wrong. So these are one of the areas that should be highly governed when it comes to the EU, the United Nations, sorry, AI Act, which is, again, it's a new law, something I'm quite impressed actually to see because, from my opinion, they understand the real risk behind AI, not just saying, oh, AI is biased, we have some threats to AI. No, let's look at the AI implications and applications in real life.
Yeah, I guess Anna, your eyes would move towards me if we were sitting in front of each other now. So, since Amani
Basically.
has said, so before you say, maybe let me pick it up. Completely agreeing what Amani said. Just maybe time to with that time to expand maybe a couple of points from my side. So let me try to do that. Uh, Agreed. Your question was leading towards what organizations are doing and what's happening regulatory wise. So uh, try to cover some of these. Quite a bit of acts and requirements are coming up from various regulatory organizations. Agreed, EU has a great one, risk-based, and the other countries as well are coming up with these kind of acts. But I just want to step back and being a security person, start thinking about it, yeah, and all the different activities associated to AI come in mind, yeah. The first thing starts with how is the algorithm developed, yeah? How is it trained? Yeah. Uh, sorry, designed and trained. And after that, how is it developed? After all, it will be a software, and it is a software, which then goes over hardware, yeah. Um, and how then it is being utilized and for what purposes, yeah. I mean, the concepts of a generic AI and specific AIs, those are being debated and being again undebated kind of thing, that the topic stays like that. But still, if you think of an organization, those things do come in mind. And then once you have some level of understanding of that, then you have to think about um, for a given organization, what is the purpose and what are risks associated to it? Yeah, again, EU Act, but general as a security person as well. Yeah, and then follow those risks in the sense of how it goes over time, because you will see you'll need means to monitor that. Yeah. Another point actually to that is as you do that, you will have to keep in mind that we are still understanding what all can happen with AI. Yeah, I don't like this keeping on saying AI, but a technology which allows us to do many things. Yeah, a technology that takes data and has possibility to learn. That's the intelligence, and then give us various outputs. Yeah, and many things is still open to happen, and we haven't yet explored everything. So we have to be equally flexible as we put our governance in place. And again, agreeing completely risk-based, because that's the proper way to do it. Yeah, that's
I
initial thought. Maybe we go deeper. Amani, you have something? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Anand, and I see AI governance is a bit more applicable when it comes to custom-built large language models or AI pipelines, rather than using these off-shelf GPTs. So if organizations, and here we're talking corporate, so corporate, they have a good chance actually to have strong AI governance framework. They can understand the risk. They can define what good looks like. They can put the right controls to make sure everything is going as expected. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about this or not, but for example, the firm I'm working on is we have an AI governance and security product. If you look at enterprise, whatever the domain, but if you have your own large language model, which in other words, if you have your own data and you want to train this data in a specific way to come up with specific decisions, that's what we call it a custom AI pipeline. And you need to make sure first you're feeding, because AI, once you give it something, forget about it. You can't take it back. And that's the problem with AI. So for large organizations, if I feed it sensitive information, I won't be able actually to control this sensitive information within the dynamics of the algorithm itself. So that's for me, this is the first step when we say AI governance. I need to make sure you are using the data I want you to use, because we always look at it from perspective. AI is all about the quantity, quality of data. The more I give AI, the better it will give me. Okay, but actually, this could be a risk for me. I need to sanitize the data and make sure I'm giving it the right data. The other thing as well, which is vectorization. Okay, I can give it the much information as I want, but I need to give it the data that it understands. Vectorization, in other words, means unstructured data or moving shadow and unstructured data into data that AI model can use. Okay, so I need to make sure that my data are in a format or in a position actually to be useful to the AI models. This is another way of AI governance as well, and I need to ensure quality. The other thing as well is I need to manage and control the output of these AI models. Let's say an organization, they have their own custom GPT model. They need to manage the prompt and the response. They need to manage when prompt can be entered into this model, because we used to hear about AI for cybersecurity. Now cybersecurity for AI, we have heaps of threats for AI now, and prompt injection is one of them. Same for response. I need to manage what can actually come out of these high models. So all of these things comes under the term of AI governance. I need to make sure everything's going well.
Yeah, maybe I'll just throw one last thing and pass on to you. Added to that, when you talk about governance as such, you'll also think about education of your company, people in the company as well about AI, because that's again a good part of governance. And the last bit of the whole story to the end is proper dashboarding as well to see how things are happening and whether it's being followed or not. I'll stop
And
there.
speaking of education, and when it comes to agentic AI, because agentic AI is like introducing a new team member, but it's an AI. So we need actually to raise the awareness within the staff, within the teams, within the engineers, cybersecurity engineers. We have a new team member, but actually we're a bit different. They are robotic, they are AI, and we're human, and we need to work together. This is for me quite interesting actually to see how this. So we've heard about agentic AI, it's amazing, but in reality, like in SOC, for example, can we have agentic AI in place? Can agentic AI work with analysts, with the SOC lead, managing all the incidents? It's a new world for me, and I believe education and awareness is the first step in order to enable this.
So we've covered some challenges that the organization face, I guess, in keeping up with AI governance. How would you say we can balance fast-moving tech versus slow regulatory process? Like looking at AI governance from a regulatory perspective, what standard regulations are out there, and how do you see balancing the innovation in tech with so it's sort of slower usually regulatory process making?
Hmm. That's always a tough question. Amani, I'm being fair and
Thank you.
taking this one first.
Maybe you're being fair enough.
So, let me give a generic answer to this first, and then we can go into deeper. Given the EU Act at a quite reasonable level has gone risk understanding and then taking it from there, that makes sense. The problem always with the regulation is that if it is too much, it kills innovation, yeah, and it kills competition, it kills the market, and if it is too little, maybe it can also harm certain people in the society, yeah. So that's a balance has to be placed there. I mean, and then regulations can be geographically limited as well, which causes limitations of competitions and things like that in many different sense. And specifically AI, we're talking about the algorithm, we're talking about the data and application and things like that. Yeah. So what is a good balance? It's always tough to give a good answer over there, response over there. But potentially, I go back with my security mindset of understanding the risks associated to a given society, and therefore regulations coming based on that. Yeah, that'll be a short answer. Amani, if you want to add something.
For me, I think achieving anyway near a balanced approach, it's very difficult, very, very
Yeah.
difficult. Because again, they're moving really, really fast, and it's not only the good AI that's moving fast, the bad AI as well. Look at threat actors, look at people leveraging AI. They're really moving fast. So, okay, if I'm going to put some regulations to make sure AI is safe and harmful for people who are using AI for good, but this actually won't allow them to defend and take the right or the necessary countermeasures against people who are using the bad AI, because they have more flexibility. They don't have regulations or restrictions that restraining them fully leveraging AI. So for me, it's very, very difficult. And if you look at the history for in any area, especially when it comes to tech and IT, regulators have been always behind, always behind.
Okay, so how do you see the future of AI governance, whether it's predictions on some new regulations or certifications or emerging trends?
I would say, Anand, would you go for it? Because I don't think people will like my answer. So you would give a diplomatic one. I don't
All
see a
right.
future for it.
Maybe it's better in that case you say first.
Yeah, okay. Again, it's very challenging because so far from me, from what I've seen, it's unless we're talking about enterprise level, custom built large language model, AI governance is a very nice word to talk about. Okay, but in real life, in people's life, it's still a bit difficult.
Okay. Maybe then uh, I take the stab now. Uh, Going forward, what I would say, I mean, AI governance, depending on organization and then people day-to-day life as well are using. Maybe in day-to-day, people themselves need to understand what risks or issues they face from AI and accordingly plan. Organizations need, I would still say that look at basics of governance and follow that. Yeah, AI is a new technology, but follow the basics of governance, understanding what the business itself is, what is the risks to the business, and how where AI is being applied. Yeah, and then following the whole part of governance, if AI is applied and given risks are understood, understanding the controls to that, and then dashboarding them as well and seeing how it is going on. Yeah. And as I mentioned earlier, being flexible in terms of what happens and how things move forward. Yeah? Always remembering that risks brings gains, but there should be a balance again, and there is business benefit too. Yeah. And not don't forget the training. Yeah. Education part.
Okay. So based on what we discussed, like what should organizations be thinking about when it comes to AI governance? Like what are the most important actions or considerations to make their AI responsible, effective? Uh, how could
For
they
me,
prepare and align with, yeah.
yeah, look, I would say let's take a step back and say, do I really need AI or not? Because AI is not new. It's been around for tens of years. Machine learning is AI, reasoning is AI. We've got different types of AI, so we have it already. But do I need to step into the generic AI, general AI, natural language processing? Can I afford these costs? Can I afford the risks behind this? Because as Anand said, there is no gain without risks. Okay, can I afford the risks? Because it's very risky. Unfortunately, risks when it comes to AI, it's like risks in cybersecurity, for example. It's very dangerous to organization repetition, to many other factors. So I would say look at the risk, understand it, and if I can afford the risk, take practical steps. Yes, see what we have. Again, identify the risk and what can I do to make sure everything goes well.
Hmm. I think I would end up saying the same thing, link it to the company strategy and what Amani just said. It's being used. Yeah. So you need to understand. I mean, at today's age, it's probably too late to say that people are randomly using AI in the company freely. I think there's more controls there. But there are AI solutions inbuilt in many of the products that companies anyhow use. So besides all the points we discussed, getting into a step deeper would be that to understand what is out there already in the company and see what is really required. Otherwise, as Amani was also touching on the data going out and things like that, all those things
Yeah,
come in
and
place.
we need to make AI governance as well enabler, not a blocker. Some
Yeah.
organizations now they prevent using ChatGPT, Gemini, and these things, but actually they are very, very good tools for
Mm.
people to make them more productive. But they completely block this and they give them their own version of similar tools, which is these tools are very, very restrictive. So they push people by a way or another actually for shadow IT to have access to these things.
Yeah.
So you need to balance, don't make it like a blocker. You can't because there is a risk behind this. Look, it's a very, very challenging area, and I think we still need a few more years until we have a very mature or a good mature framework when it comes to AI governance.
Yeah. So we can have other discussions on this again, Amani.
Oh, yes, looking forward for it.
Okay. I don't know, Ananda, is there anything else you would like to cover on the topic? I mean, I don't know, we can also talk about maybe differences geopolitically, like how different countries would approach this. I don't know.
To be honest, I don't have
country.
much knowledge in this space, but yeah, I can imagine because each country they have their own political directions, and AI is a very sensitive topic now for governments. So yes, I can imagine there are different regulations and way of use in the different governments, geographical locations. But with specific examples, it's hard to give. But for example, given my experience traveling around the world nowadays, uh, some countries so far they're not open to the cloud, going on cloud for basic IT stuff. So talking about AI, when it comes to countries operating totally on-prem, it's controversial. Okay, so AI, are you going to host your AI on-prem as well? Can you imagine the cost of having your GPUs? You won't get a return of investment before 5, 7 years, if not more. It's a very big topic, and we need to look at it as well because some government directions, AI needs to be on-prem at some stage, especially when it comes to sensitive information or highly confidential government entities.
Yep, agreed. And that again brings us back towards the data and its usage. And then the other angle, of course, is uh, countries, governments would like to compete, and therefore borders are created for that purpose as well, for to make their own country's solution successful. Yeah, I will leave it at that.
Okay, fair, fair. Okay. Well, then I guess we're done. Thank you so much for participating.
Thank you,
Thank
Anna.
you.
Thank you, Anna.